Bata, we were at Maimon HaSinai. In this week's Parsha, we have something about the movement from HaSinai. First, let's begin the idea of a place. In the very first verse of Chumash Bamidbar, it says like this: Hashem spoke to Moshe in the desert of Sinai. Where exactly in the desert of Sinai? Ba'oil Moed. However you translate that. The meeting tent. Place. Date. Be'echad v'chodesh. The first of the month. Which month? The second month. Which year? The second year that they left Egypt. The Or Chaim points out that this verse is inconsistent. How is it inconsistent? It gives us a place and a date. And let's see. In the place, it says the general, the large place, and it goes from the general till the exactly specific, from the general to specific. Where did he speak to Moshe? The Midbar Sinai. That's the larger place. Specifically in Midbar Sinai, where? Ba'el Moed, in the meeting tent. Which date? When was this? When did this take place? That's where. When? On the first day of the month. Which month? The second month. Iyar. Which day? Which year? The second year they left Egypt. So when it places the date, it goes the other way order suddenly. It begins with the specific, specifically the first day of the month of the year, and then it goes when is it, which in the broader sense, in which year. So it's inconsistent. The pasuk should be consistent. He's not saying which shita HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he writes the Moshe Rabbeinu, he should take, whether from the general to specific to general. This we don't know. The Seir Hashem, the secrets of Hashem, but at least be consistent. Choose the same method throughout when you're speaking about the place and date. Either go in everything from the general to specific, or the opposite, go from the specific to the general. But why did suddenly HaKadosh Baruch Hu change his style in the middle of the pasuk and make it a bound face? When he speaks about this is the diuk, how do you say in English diuk?
Inference.
Inference to that, thank you. This is the inference of the Or Chaim. He wants to learn something. Everything the Torah is to learn from. So he wants to understand this verse. Why did Moshe Rabbeinu change his style from this place to the date? In the place he went from the general to specific, and in the date he went from the specific to the general. Answers Reb Chaim ben Attah, it's a mistake. Hashem did not change his style. He did not. Why? Because let's see. In the date, it's clear. He went from the smaller place, the more specific, to the broader sense. All right. If that's nothing to change about, so here too. The Midbar Sinai is the smaller place. What's the bigger place? Ba'oil Moed. Because the Ba'oil Moed is the place where the Shechina is. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, Hinei Makom Iti. The whole world is tafel, is secondary to where I am. The Makom is Iti. The place is with me. Like we know that one of the names of Hashem is Makom. That the world is not the place of Hashem. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Mekayim Ha'ishalaylam. He's the place of the world. So where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, that's the broader place. That's the Ika place. So he went from the specific. So the pasuk is consistent. It's not inconsistent. He went from the smaller to the larger. But Midbar Sinai is the smaller place. Ba'oil Moed, that's the whole world. Where the Shechina is, that's the whole world. Everything is secondary to that. He didn't change his style. That means even though to the naked eye it looks that the place of the Elomayim is smaller, but we just see with the eye, and we don't see it. We don't see it. We don't have eyes of truth to see the things in their real sense. We're limited to our little organs and eyes, so we don't see the full picture. But in the full picture, the Elomayim, that's the whole world. That contains everything. And this is a fantastic foundation in Torah. And he says, and this nice took place. It says in Chazal at one point that Hashem gathered all of Klal Yisrael, Hakel Yisrael, and he put them all between the two Badei Ha'aron, the two sticks of the Aron. How much space was between the two sticks of the Aron? The Aron was 2.5 amas length, Each stick took up a half of amma. So between or a quarter, whatever, two tvachim, half, 1.5 tvachim, or whatever. Anyway, between 2 amot of space of the Aroin, he put the Derech Nes view. He put all of Klal Yisrael. He put the whole nation of Israel between that place. Chazal expressed this idea as well when they speak about the place where 2 people study Torah and they try to understand Gemara, Rashi, Tosfos. What do they say? Where's the Oyel Mayed? Where is the Oyel Mayed for generations? Mishachara Beis Hamikdash, from the time that the temple was destroyed, one has to hear the words of the sages. Ein la'HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'olamai. Ein. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has nothing in this world. The whole world is no. All of this is secondary. Ein la'HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'olamai. What does he have? How many meters is the world? I don't know. You have to think. How many kilometers? How many 25,000 miles around the world. Yeah. So he says
40,000.
Yeah. And what does he have? He has only Daled Amos. From all those kilometers, he only has Daled Amos. Which Daled Amos? Daled Amos shel halacha bilvad, where 2 people sit and study those Daled Amos and try to understand the Gemara. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has in this world. Everything else is secondary. Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'olamai, Daled Amos shel halacha bilvad. That's the Oyel Mayed. That's connected the whole world. Why is it important to know this? Because I want to go back. You here have the opportunity to study in the yeshiva, to study Torah. When does the Yetzer Hara have power over a person? What is the power of a person? So we go back to, even though it's not these parshas now, it says when the power of the Yetzer Hara is when he manages to put in a person a doubt in the importance of what he's doing. When a person doesn't have clarity, that's when the Yetzer Hara, he's not clear in his goals, that's when the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, has power. If a person is convinced and clear in the value of what he's doing, the Yetzer Hara has no power. There's a remiss to this in the Siddur. When the Siddur speaks about the Malachim, so it says like this, it goes out, and we have in the Tefillah on the creation of light that we say every day. So when we speak about the Malachim, so it says the angels are Kulam Ahuvim, they love what they're doing. Kulam Brurim. What's Brurim? How would you translate Brurim? Boro. Another word, Boro? Clear. Clarity. The next word is Kulam Gibayrim. Strength. If you love what you're doing and you're clear about the value of what you're doing, then you have Gevura, then you have energy. Ahuvim, it's Aleph Beis Gimel, it's a symbol to remember. Ahuvim, Brurim, Gibayrim. If you like what you're doing and you're convinced of its value, then you have Gevura, you have energy. The Yetzer Hara can't come. And so it's Merumas in the Torah by Yovai Amalek. So the Svarim say that Amalek is the same gematria, numerical value of the Hebrew word Safek. What is Safek? Doubt. Oh, that's Amalek. Amalek is it comes when there's doubts, they have power. By Yovai Amalek v'yilachim Yisrael b'Refidim. Chazal in a place called Refidim. What is Refidim? Rafu Yedeihem. Rifyon. Rifyon is they were weak. They didn't have the full strength of the efforts of their study of Torah. That's what Amalek has. What creates, in Hebrew you use when a guy has he's not strong, he loses enthusiasm. So you call it in Hebrew, you speak about there's chizuk, he's in a chizuk, he's strong, and the opposite, you say, he's now in a rifyon. He's not in a chizuk, he's rifyon, he's weaker. That's Amalek. What creates rifyon? Rifyon is created by safek, doubt. So if you know the value, if you believe, emunah, that you are standing now and learning, if you think to yourself, I am now in the Dalet Amos Shel Halacha, I'm with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm the Oyel Mayed. The whole world is batal, is secondary to where I am. Then you don't have a rifyon. This gives strength and gevurah. This is an introduction to this week's parasha. What does it have to do with this week's parasha? Now let's go to this week's parasha. We were standing recently at Har Sinai. We received the Torah. So we read in the Parshas about Matan Torah. Suddenly it says in this Parsha, it says like this. In the second year, on the 20th day of Iyar, the Anan came up from the Mishkan, and it was a sign to Am Yisrael to begin moving. And they were Nosei al Pi Hashem biyad Moshe. And so by Yisu Mehar Hashem, they traveled away from the mountain of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why does it say from Har Hashem, the Har of Hashem? Usually it should say Har Sinai. Why does this pasuk specifically state that they traveled away from the Har Hashem, the Har of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And let's go, we'll talk about it in a minute. Immediately we have the famous psukim that we say when we take out the Sefer Torah from the Aron. Vayhidin Soya HaOrain, and the Orain which had in it the Shivrei Luchos, had in the Luchos that Moshe Rabbeinu broke, the Sefer Orain, and it went ahead of it. Vayoyin Moshe Kum Hashem, it went ahead of it. And there's two psukim here, Venucha Yoima, and the psukim are surrounded with these are secrets of the Torah. These two psukim have, and you look in the Sefer Torah and the Chumash, they have the letter Nun, and it's upside down. And then it says, "Vayhi ha'am kimis oivenim ra boznei Hashem." There were people that were complaining. They went 3 days. They said Hashem is working hard on us. He's putting us to hard work because they didn't go by choice. Al pi Hashem Yisuv, al pi Hashem Yachnu. When the Anan moved, they had to follow the cloud of glory, and the cloud moved and moved and moved, and they're traveling 3 days without resting. They're traveling and did not stop. They said, Hashem doesn't have any pity on us. They began complaining. And this was an enormous chet. And then it continues and it brings another chet. What's the second chet? And it says, there was a misleading. It's unbelievable, these things, what's written here. And came a fire and it burnt, the people got burnt. And then there was another chet. They had a desire. They had a taiva. And here again, Rashi says, what's this taiva? The Ramban explains, they had the man, and the man, they could taste every single thing that one wants. But they didn't have physical food. They didn't have physical food. They had the man, they couldn't see it. They could imagine, they had to imagine in their mind, and suddenly the dimyon, the imaginary taste came. But it wasn't reality. Hisabu taiva, they wanted to have it physically. Hisabu taiva. And this was a chet. We have the kibbutz hataiva, they buried the Misabim. So Rashi brings from Chazal. Why is these two psukim of the traveling of the Ark, which had the tablets, surrounded by these two nunim? So it says it's to lahapsik, to divide bein poroniot leporoniot, between terrible tragedies that befell Klal Yisrael. It shouldn't be a chazakah. The Torah didn't want to write up a chazakah. 3 times is a chazakah. The Torah didn't want to write in order 3 consecutive tragedies that happened as they left the middle. I guess the pshat is, what difference does it make? What the Torah writes, we know that this generation is the seed of all Klal Yisrael. What happened to this generation, this is a sign for future. So the Torah wanted to divide between that there shouldn't be 3 tragedies in a row. Ask the Ramban, he says, I don't see the 3 tragedies here. I see the chet of kimis oinenim, that they didn't appreciate the taivas of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Rashi says in length. Right? Well, first, let's see. There are 2 chatoim. One chet, which is specifically we see here by Hiyom kimis oinenim. Rashi explains the hit onen is to awaken self-pity, let's say. When everything is fine, I'm such a wretched, I'm such a misken. How do you translate misken? Misken, poor guy, so poor my situation. To self-pity, I have this wrong and that wrong and this wrong. And everything is relative and everything is the perspective where you look. Like, to put a very common day expression, are you busy looking at the half a glass which is full, or are you looking at the half a glass which is empty? And everybody can compare himself. It's how you compare yourself. That's how you see yourself. I'm shifting for a minute. In Elenu we say V'yadati ki Hashem Elokeinu b'shamayim mima'al. Hashem is in the heaven above. V'al ha'oretz mitachas. So the world said, in the land, on the bottom. So the world says that this pasuk is telling you as well a message. What's the message? The nature of the person is, the two parts of the person in his life. His spiritual and his material. How does a person measure himself? When he's judging himself, his mitzvahs, so he looks, compared to this guy, I'm a big chacham. Compared to his ma'asim, I'm a big tzaddik. So in spiritual things, he looks down. Who has less than me? He says, I'm pretty well off. When it comes to the material things, did you see that beautiful house that he has? Did you see that beautiful piece that he bought? Did you see that he went on to the which hotel he went on vacation? So in material, he doesn't look at who has less than him. In material, he looks who has more than him. So he's always in a thirst for more material. And in Ruchnius, he gives himself a good mark. So the pasuk says, what should be the emes? V'shamayim. Shamayim is those things which are spiritual, things are heavenly things. Mimal. You always have to look above. Who's better than you? To drive yourself for a greater, to push yourself more, to become a bigger tzaddik, to become a bigger chacham, to be closer to Hashem. V'shamayim, the opposite. V'shamayim, mimal. V'alo oretz. Oretz are the things, the material things. Look who has less than you. In the pleasures of this world, alo oretz mitachas. The way should be of a person is exactly the opposite. In Ruchnius, always look who has more than you. Don't be satisfied. Don't be a samech b'chelka. You know, a person suddenly, when it comes to Ruchnius, he's a samech b'chelka. Listen, you have to be satisfied with what you have. Then when it comes to how much is in the bank account, no, then so he's not a samech b'chelka. So it has to be in Gashmius, you have to be a samech b'chelka. In Ruchnius, you're not supposed to be samech b'chelka. Now this was a fantastic chet of Klal Yisrael. What Hashem was doing for their benefit. He wanted to bring them in immediately into Eretz Yisrael. And when they complained, they didn't see the tithe, they didn't see that Hashem was doing the tithe, this was a chet. But the next chet was that they had a tithe. But the Ramban said, but where's the first chet? So the Ramban brings a medrash. And he says that this chet is the source of all the chetayim. By Yisu Mehar Hashem, so the Ramban brings a medrash. The medrash says they left the mountain of Sinai because it was Har Hashem. They had to leave. They left because Hashem, the cloud of glory, moved. But somewhere in their heart they said, oh, Baruch Hashem, we're moving. Who knows, it will stay a bit longer. In the meantime, we have 613 mitzvahs. Maybe we're going to get another 613 mitzvahs. It's enough already. But sure. Baruch Hashem, that means that's it. This is it. This is about the Torah, for the Torah. No more mitzvahs. Somewhere they were in their heart happy. They left with a certain happiness. The happiness was, the Chazal call it, Ketinoik haboreach mi beit hasefer. Like a child, like the happiness of a child when the bell rings and the class is over. Like a child running out of school. It says, a Klal Yisrael, Chazal, criticized Klal Yisrael, that somewhere in their heart they left Sinai. Sinai was at the Beis Medrash, and they left the Beis Medrash like the child is happy when the bell rings. One might be happy to go to lunch after the shmooze is over. And that's what the Torah, and he says the Torah calls this Peronius, even though nothing happened, because this is the source of all the Peronius. This is the source of all the Chatoyim and everything of Klal Yisrael. In fact, let's go over. Let's see. I think you can make here a series. One runs out from the Beis HaSefer. One is from learning. If one runs away from learning, then one isn't happy. One loses Hakaras HaTov. One isn't happy with oneself. One isn't happy with oneself. One finds what to complain about. After one finds what to complain about, one looks like, let's enjoy life. So one begins looking for Tanugim. It's a Seder. These three Chatoyim, I can say, I think you can find by every individual in life. It begins, and where does everything begin? By Yisu Mehar Hashem. Because there's a koyach in Torah to put the person down, to stabilize a person, give him the true values. When a person studies Torah, he gets in contact with his nefesh. It gives him self-respect. It makes him a sense of his true identity, who he really is, and it rises him above of the Tanugim of this world. But the Yisu Mehar Hashem, when they lost the connection with the value of the study of Torah, that's what we began with. That's the source of all the Chatoim of Klal Yisrael, and all the brothers. So that's called Bronis. Now let's get back to the Nun Hafuch. Why specifically did the Torah here, we have like this. Vanan Hashem, and said the Torah tells us they were traveling. Vanan Hashem Aleihim, the cloud of glory was upon them as they traveled from the Machan. And then it has a Nun Hafuch. So the Klayopah says something interesting, fascinating about this concept of Nun Hafuch, the Nun upside down. He says like this. It's known, the parable of Rabbi Akiva. You know that Rabbi Akiva told others when the Romans made a decree that one shouldn't learn Torah, and somebody said Rabbi Akiva gathered students together and learned Torah, and they told Rabbi Akiva, you're putting your life in danger. It's known that Chazal, Rabbi Akiva said a parable of a fox saw the fish in the water, and the fishermen were trying to catch the fish. So the fox told the fish, my dear friends, what are you staying in the water? In the water they put nets and they catch you. Come up on ground with me and walk together with me. There they can't put nets and catch you. So the fish said, you stupid fool that you are. Here we're getting caught where our whole life depends on it. We're going to live when we live from our life. What does it help? They won't catch us. Well, that's we'll die in the ground. So Rabbi Akiva said the same thing. The life of Am Yisrael and the existence of Am Yisrael depend on the study of Torah. The Torah is compared to water, and Am Yisrael is compared to fish in water. Like the blessing of Yaakov Avinu to Ephraim and Menashe. The Yidgul the Roiv, the Kerev Ha'aretz. They should multiply like fish. Like fish, their whole chiyut, their whole substance of life is in the water, so the substance of life of Am Yisrael is in the water like fish, the water of Torah. So he said, if we're in danger when we study Torah, if we'll stop studying Torah, we'll be in multiple danger. This is Rabbi Akiva said. So the Nun, now the word Nun in Hebrew is a fish. The word Nun means a fish. A fish is called Nun. So a fish doesn't aim for the shores. He doesn't travel to the shores. The fish, because that's not his life. The fish goes to the center of the sea. He doesn't go towards the shore. And if you see a fish running to the shore, he's not a fish. He's an opposite fish. He's upside down fish. So that's the Nun Hapuch. The Nun Hapuch is by Yisroel Mehar Hashem. When they traveled away from the mountain of Hashem, this was an upside down fish. This is a fish running away from the shore to the shore. He's running away from the source of life. That's the Nun Hapuch. And that's the source of all the problems of Klal Yisrael. That's because, like we had in the Parshas Luchot Kosa, the study of Torah brings a person closer to Hashem, and Ein Peronius Bala Eilam, no Peronius come to this world, Ela B'Shvirutu Torah. Where there's the study of Torah, it teaches a person, it rises a person above all sorts of different things. The skula of Torah. Torah puts a person with his neshama, and here I just quote from the Chazon Ish in short. The Chazon Ish speaks about Musar in general. And he says like this. He says, Musar doesn't tell a person to uproot self-love. Musar doesn't tell a person not to run after pleasures. Musar doesn't tell a person not to run after covet. Because all these things, the seeking of pleasure is a positive element that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into a human being. And if you try to uproot these things, it's self-destructive. You're destroying the person. What does the Musa say? The Musa says, love yourself, but know what the self-love is. Run after covet, but know what the true covet is. True covet is to leave covet. True covet is humility. True covet is the knowledge of Torah. Know what true honor is. Look for honor, but know what honor is. This is the language of the Chazon Ish. He said, if a person tries to uproot self-love, it's self-destruction. Hamusa oimer love yourself. L'chosh kavod. Go out there and get honor. What honor? From this guy. He's going to die like I'm going to die. Avodah ma oshrecha, ma kvoitcha, ein kavod l'Torah. And covet a lot nova. True honor is humility. And covered the aziva sakov. They have the capacity to leave covered. That's the true covered. That's the mechur. Ein oisha. What's true satisfaction and true pleasure? To be free from the hatimura who wants to eat sahara. Nishtachlem et theotidios. Not to be a kaiser. To be a savlan. To have patience. Not to be an angry person. To have humility. Not to be a balgaiva. All these things, it naturally stops. You wait long enough, everything stops. Ein oisha. The ein oisha rak. True satisfaction is to free oneself from the natural implements which draw a person away from Hashem. The true pleasure is to be nichna Hashem v'tanosa, the tachlis of this world. So, what gives a person this possibility when a person is working out his mind in the gear of Torah, this rises him above this world and gives him this power, because then he senses his true identity. His true identity is his neshama and nefesh, and the nefesh wants chachma. So, Yisu Mehar Hashem, the natural outcome of Yisu Mehar Hashem is hitodinut, is self-complaint, self-pity, and then looking for physical pleasures. And the opposite is when you go to Har Hashem, and you're happy to be in Har Hashem, this brings samech v'chelkoi, this brings appreciation from Tanugim. We can learn from those chatoyim the opposite. The opposite is the bracha, and the Balaturim says, B'nosam min ha'machna, the Balaturim says something unbelievable. The word b'nosam, which is right after the Yisu Mehar Hashem, we find only two places in the Torah. One place is over here, the other place is b'nosam mikedem, in the Dora Floga, that they traveled away from Kadmoinu Shalaylam, they traveled away from the Bari Yolim. When a person is happy to leave the Beis Medrash, he's leaving the Bari Yolim. When he's happy to be in the Beis Medrash, he's putting himself in connection with the Bari Olam, and he's in the Koinu Shalaylam. Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ba'olam Eladad Am Sha'alach Eladad.